Welcome back to the channel. Let's get started.
If a chain hanging in the sky suddenly snapped, what would happen? 3 people guarded it all night long, and their one rule was that they could never look away at the same time. That story doesn't begin in the sky, it begins on a ranch, on a moonless night. There were nights when the cattle became unusually silent. He didn't sleep, not because he heard anything, but because he heard nothing at all. One careless night, a wolf sneaked in, and just like that, half the flock was gone. No one writes songs about the peaceful nights. Keeping watch alone, he had his own method: locate the Little Bear constellation, the axis the whole sky turns on. He still told the new apprentice, there was a people, long ago, who once looked up at that exact same spot. They were the ancient Slavs, the lands that are now Russia, Ukraine, Poland, and Belarus. Their mythology doesn't say the universe is held together by strength, but by an iron chain, a bound monster, and 3 sisters who never let their guard down at the same time. The story begins with the sun god Dazhbog, who had handmaidens, whom some versions describe as his daughters. Her name is Zorya, which in Old Slavic simply means dawn, star. Zorya Utrenya, morning star, opens the gate every morning for her father to drive the sun chariot out of the night. And Zorya Vechernyaya, the evening star, closes the gates when her father returns to rest. Their job was as simple as opening and closing the barn gate every day, nothing to tell. Until someone asks, for all those hours when the gates are closed and the sun has gone to sleep, who's keeping watch? A Russian folklore record from 1872 states, there are 3 sisters Zorya, of the evening, of midnight, and of the morning. Their task: guard a beast chained to the Ursa Minor constellation. If the chain breaks, that will be doomsday. That creature was named Simargl, half-winged lion, half-dog, borrowing its imagery from the Simargl of ancient Persian mythology. There is a version that says Simargl had a wife, the night goddess Kopelnitsa, and had children. He is not a wild monster on the edge of the world. It was the family of the gods themselves who chained it, for if released, that power would devour the very axis around which the heavens spin. The 3 sisters split the 3 shifts among themselves. Mai took the early morning shift. Hong took the evening shift. The one who kept the midnight watch bore the hardest part. While the whole world lay deep in sleep, no one would witness it if she let her guard down. The morning shift is youth just beginning, the midnight shift is a mother standing watch amid the world, and the evening shift is the elderly carrying the wisdom of the end. An animal big enough to swallow entire constellations, held back by only one chain, one anchor at the North Star, and 3 people who must never be off schedule. No walls. No army. Only the repetition of watching. The ancient Slavs brought the 3 Zorya sisters into everyday life itself, into the incantations recited beside the bed of a feverish child. Mother Zorya of the morning, evening, and midnight, I pray that the illness and sorrow within me also quietly fade away. There is a variant of the story that says soldiers heading off to battle also prayed to the 3 sisters, believing that they would be wrapped in an invisible layer that let arrows and swords slide right through them. But no text before Christianity directly recorded the goddess Zorya, she survived only through oral tradition. If no one had ever seen that chain, he asked, how could anyone know which night it truly broke? He did not answer immediately. He looked down at his hands, the hands that had held a lantern and walked around this stable for 40 years. One night, many years ago, he saw the oil lamp tip over next to the pile of dry straw, just a few seconds left. If he had just looked away for another 10 seconds, the entire shed and half the livestock inside would have burned to the ground. No one knew about that, because it never burned. You don't write songs for a fire that never happened. The 3 Zorya sisters, he said, were not only invoked for doomsday. People also whispered their names for far smaller fears. By the bedside of a woman in difficult labor, the same incantation was recited, asking the 3 sister goddesses to grant her the calm of the stars. For the people lying awake with nightmares, those same 3 names would be repeated again, like a plea to be watched over for just one night. Along with the 3 names that once held a monster still. They are now borrowed to calm a panicked heartbeat. In the end, the story was never really about the monster. It was about believing that someone, even unseen, was still watching over you. But there is a truth colder than that story. He is about to say it. No one talks about the night the 3 sisters each did exactly what they were supposed to do. No song written about the chain remains intact. The story only exists because people imagined the day the chain would break. There were thousands of nights before that, when the 3 sisters quietly switched shifts, with no one recording it, no one applauding. He realized that after decades of carrying a lantern around the stables at 2 in the morning, no one remembers the name of the watchman when everything is fine. People only remember a name when something happens. The modern world isn't much different. It's not a winged monster keeping the power grid from collapsing, it's a person, sitting alone in front of a bank of screens. Keeping the night shift at the hospital from missing a single abnormal heartbeat, that too is just one person, never taking their eyes off it. Keep the dike guard from falling asleep when the waters rise, similarly, just one person, one night with no one watching. There is no heroic battle there to tell of, only a person, at an hour when no one witnessed, choosing not to look away. What keeps the world from collapsing, then as now, is rarely strength arriving at the right moment. Mostly, it's the repeated vigilance of those no one bothers to ask the name of. He didn't call it a lesson. He just said it, like talking about the weather. The world runs because of people no one thanks. It's not some moral lesson, it's just the truth. The apprentice said nothing. But a question was forming behind his eyes. He looked up at the little bare constellation once more, as if wanting to make sure it was still there. The chain is still there, at least for tonight. But there were nights, he said, when one wondered whether it was worth staying awake, if no one had ever known he'd stayed awake. He mentioned another herdsman, 2 valleys over, who one winter stopped checking his fences. No one knew for certain what had happened there, all they knew was that by the following spring, the herd was no longer the same. He did not continue the story right away. He only stood up and looked toward the dark valleys, as if still weighing something left unsaid. He took a deep breath, then finished telling the rest, the part he had avoided talking about for so many years. That person, one night, was simply too tired. He thought, what could go wrong with skipping just one night? The next morning, it wasn't just one wolf, half the pack had already scattered through the stretch of fence no one had checked the night before. It wasn't lost in a single night of panic. It just faded away, quietly, the very way people used to watch over it in silence. From then on, people only spoke his name because of that one winter. No one remembered the 20 years before that when he had kept watch well. He didn't tell that story to scare the apprentice. He told it because it was a simple, harsh truth. And it brought him back to the old question, if no one has ever seen the chain, how would anyone know which night it snapped? He said, one never knows for sure. That herdsman did not know which night was the fateful one either. What he lost wasn't lost that night. It had been lost from the moment he allowed himself to stop believing that keeping watch mattered. He said, the question is never does anyone see me? The question is always, do I still believe this is worth doing? Even the 3 Zorya sisters were the same. There was no one above them to check their shifts. No god stands guard behind them. They maintain discipline because they themselves believe the chain is worth keeping. That is the one thing that holds every chain in the world together, whether it's a chain of stars or a wooden fence, discipline needs no audience. For the first time that night, the apprentice truly understood what he was talking about. Then he stood up, just as he had done thousands of nights before. The young apprentice sprang to his feet. I'll go with you, he said, even though he still had an early shift the next morning. He didn't say much. He just gave a single nod, the kind of nod an old man gives when he sees something worth nodding at. They walked the perimeter of the stables together, the apprentice learning how to observe, not for praise, but because it was what had to be done. In the sky, the chain remains unchanged, not because anyone has proven it deserves to be kept, but because no one has stopped believing it does. They went all the way through the final lap just as the horizon began to glow. Just like thousands of mornings before, C.R.E.A.M opened the gate, and another morning began. The livestock herd remained intact. No one applauded. Nor did anyone need to. He said, whether the chains are still there or not, just wait until morning and see. And every morning, they'd still find it there, just because someone kept watch all night, never taking their eyes off it. The apprentice didn't ask anything further. He already had the answer he needed. He didn't say it was a lesson. Then he walked all the way around the barn, as he had done for 1,000 nights before. And he will do it again tomorrow night. Somewhere up in the sky, the three sisters are still swapping shifts. Down here on the ground, an old man and a young apprentice are doing the same. Nothing has changed. That is the best news of all.
Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you stopping by. I hope you enjoy the view as much as I do. Don't forget to hit bell. Take care and see you soon.